What you will notice is because it realises there's only just shy of 20 degrees in that tank at the moment, it's going to really ramp up and deliver that temperature we're asking. Now what I did as a little test, I set the sterilisation to come on at 11:22 a.m. and I've set it to 65 degrees. So once we've achieved that, then we're going to get the water temperature probe and we're going to run that hot tap and we're going to test it at that tap and we're going to see what comes out. So this is just to demonstrate how quickly, in a worst case scenario, how quickly it can recharge a 300 litre tank. It's a good case study for somebody who's interested and maybe considering making that switch and thinking, well, how long does it take to charge up? Because that is a common question, but just to very briefly take you through what we would normally do on an installation commission. We'd normally set a hot water tank at say 50 degrees in general, and we would have a recharge set point of -8 degrees. So that means that the moment that is drawn down to 42 degrees, it would, if it was in heating mode, the heat pump, it would pause that operation of heating and quickly recharge. It's all right, it's because the banner's going like this now because the fans are going. That was an oversight. But basically that's what would normally happen. So we'd have it set at 50, -8 degrees, sort of recharge set point. So as soon as the tank was ran down to 42, it would pause heating operation, quick recharge. Quick recharges, I mean that's you can change that in the settings. It doesn't have to be -8, but it seems a happy medium for most. Let's say, for example, if it was only -5, let's say, it would mean that you might be washing some dishes perhaps, and you might find that it pours heating to recharge. Well, that is maybe too much for some. So by changing that, recharge set point, so you could even have it at -10, you could have it -12. It's end user preference. So following a commission, there might be a follow-up visit a week or two later, and the client may say, that hot water recharge point, could you just tweak it down to say 40, so it comes at -10, 40 degrees, once it gets down to 40, recharge. So that's how we'd normally set it. So really, you'd never expect a lengthy recharge. This is going to be lengthy by comparison because we're doing it from cold, if you like. But in theory, on most day-to-day, you as the homeowner or the end user would never really expect to have such a, unless you had guests and you had shower, a lot of people get showers because you're going out for a special occasion. There's a really good example. This will do it so much quicker, so you're not waiting, for the recharge to occur. So let's see how it goes. We'll pause the video and then we'll come back to it once we're getting near to our set point, and then we can resume from there. And then once we've got to the set point, let's get the temperature probe and let's see if it's telling us the truth. Thanks for watching. Let's just see how we're doing on our controller. 65. Yeah, 65 degrees. How does that controller know what temperature's in the tank, you ask? The tank sensor, which is this cable here, the tank sensor is seated inside a dry pocket inside the cylinder, and it sends that data through ohms resistance. It sends that data back to the circuit board, which is inside the control module, and that's how it knows what temperature is. Once that board, or once that PCB knows what temperature that is, through C1 and C2 comms connection, it lets the heat pump know we've reached temperature, and then the heat pump can modulate down and come to a gradual stop. What you may find, because these units are so efficient, what you may find is that by the time that message comes to the unit to say we've got 65 now, you can stop, it will continue to run because it's generated a lot of heat. So you may end up with 66 or 67 degrees in your tank. Quite a good point actually, because if you're a user that would find 50 degrees is comfortable for you, it may be worth trying when it comes to our time of commission with you, it may be worth us setting at 48 to see how you go, because in most cases, as I've said in other videos, you can often get an extra degree or two, what we call an overshoot, just because these are really efficient units. So when it's told to stop, it's like, but I've got some energy left, where do I put it? So it's puts it in the tank. So, and that's how you can end up with that extra 1 or 2 degrees. So I hope that helps maybe answer another question. Now, when I set this, to come on for Legionella, I set it to come on at 60, to work to 65 degrees and then hold it for a set period. While it is doing that, so we've got our 65, let's have a look at the flow temperature again. And there is our 69.8, and you can see our timestamp. So, there's nothing, there's nothing being hidden. There's no, smoke and mirrors. This is just a demonstration, live demonstration for you to see, what's occurring. And there's one thing for certain, this unit has heated 300 litres to 65 degrees, all by itself, without the support of an immersion or a backup heater or a booster heater. It's done it all by itself. So what you will see now, and in fact there, I've just spotted it myself, now on the controller it says we've got 66. Yeah, 66 in the tank. So there's that, extra energy being dispersed into the coil. So hopefully that in itself has been, a reasonable demonstration. I know you've had to put up with me for a while. But I get very excited about this product. It really is quite something. We want to see it in many, many homes. So please get in touch. But you've now been able to see this yourself. And I've done the videos in stages, so it's not just one, put up with me for an hour. You can watch you can watch the videos separately. And there we go, our heat pumps come to a stop now. So, hopefully it's been, informative for you. If you like it, give it a like. Thanks for watching. Okay, so there you go, there's your 65.1 degrees showing already, 65.2. So if you remember on the controller, it said there's 66 degrees in the tank. And then now we're drawing off at the tap. We've got 65.5. Yeah, 65.5. So, just be mindful that the heat pump did that all on its own. The M series unit that we've got, it doesn't have the backup heater. That's an optional extra. So, it doesn't. Well, we haven't got the immersion heater wired in, and we're not using one anyway, because we want to be able to demonstrate what the Panasonic Aquarea units can do themselves without the backup heater. I prefer to push the boundaries just a little, so you get a better impression of what it really can do. So for training purposes, we've got our units installed inside our premises, but this Aquarea tank, I've got no necessity to put an immersion on. We would for a client on their project, but for here, just for show, I'm not going to put an immersion on. The principle with the M series, it's R290. It doesn't need an immersion or a backup heater to do your Legionella cycle. We've just proved that by getting it to 65 degrees. We've seen 65 degrees come out of the tap as well. So we know that what's been said on the controller is correlating, is correct. Excuse me. So, what great performance.